Good morning, YouTube. Got a call just this morning as I was rolling out of bed. Guy says his heater hasn't worked in a long time, but his dad's moving in, and his dad is sensitive to colder temperatures. So could we come out and check it out and see if there's, his words were, do we need to repair it or replace the system? So I told him, we have a diagnostic fee of $75, and that gets us to come out and troubleshoot your system. And then once we find out what the problem is, I'll come down and let you know, and we can make our repairs from there. Usually I carry a lot of my parts on my truck, a lot of repair items on my truck. So a lot of times we can fix the system today. If it's a specialty part, then like a control board that I don't happen to have, or something like that, then we can just go to the warehouse on Monday, pick it up, come back and put it in. So he said that sounds fine, let's do it. So it's about a 40-minute drive up there. It's up in Rockland, and Rockland's a real nice community. A lot of nice golf courses up there. So thought I would bring you guys along. We've got a Janitrol furnace. A 1992 24-year-old Janitrol. So just testing the pressure switch. Okay, I just bumped the pressure switch too, and I just bumped the pressure switch too, and it just went out. So yeah, pressure switch probably the issue there. There it goes, kicking back on. Fire back up. So, let's check a couple other things while we're here. Check this capacitor while we're here too. The capacitor is good. 9.7. At 9.4 it would be considered below factory specs. Cracked heat exchanger. Cracked faceplate anyway. That belongs to the whole assembly. Everything else started up once the pressure switch had an issue. So I gotta go down and let him know about this heat exchanger. Okay, well, as you can see, that was a interesting call. I had to work my way to the furnace. It was pretty cluttered up there. But once I did get to the furnace, then I realized the pressure switch wasn't engaging, doing its job. That's a safety switch that needs to operate. It actually proves that the inducer motor is doing its job. The inducer motor draws out all the gases from the firebox and sends it out through the roof, through your vent. But that pressure switch is a safety switch that is needed to prove that the inducer motor is working right. If it doesn't, then the rest of the system won't fire up. And that's what happened in this situation. The guy ended up giving us a call saying my furnace wasn't working. So we can change the pressure switch. However, the more underlying issue with his system was that 2-inch crack that we saw on the faceplate of the heat exchanger. Now, I'm not willing to like take some high temp RTV and just seal that crack up, because I always want to bring things up to factory standards, and that wouldn't be, I just don't think that's the right thing to do. I've seen some techs do that. They'll just take a big finger and just smear it and call it good. So I don't know, I was never taught that way. I was never taught that that was a good way of taking care of a situation. You always want to make sure the system is running to factory standards. So tomorrow I'll call and I'll see if that 24-year-old heat exchanger is available. I think it's obsolete, but we'll double check. I don't think he wants to. He doesn't sound like he's interested in spending $1,500 to $2,000 replacing a heat exchanger and the pressure switch. Anyways, he knows that a 24-year-old system has more underlying issues coming up around the corner. He does want to stay in the house for 5 or 6 more years, but he has his dad coming in, and his dad is a senior citizen, and they just don't want him to be living at a senior care facility, so they're going to bring him in, but they just want to make sure that furnace is operating to factory standards, safe, and so right now it's not. So tomorrow I'm going to work on getting him, you know, see, we'll check about the heat exchanger, but more so he wants to know how much the cost of a new system would cost. So I'm going to get him a couple different bids on maybe a cheaper system and a more middle of the line system. You can always go cheaper, but I told him, you know, hey, I'm a practical guy. I'm not really interested in trying to upgrade you to a, you know, the fancy 95% 2-stage variable speed motors systems. I just would, you know, take the more economical route. If you're only going to be in this house for 5 or 6 more years, I think that's the way to go. So sounds like he's interested, and hopefully it all works out for us. Hopefully we get the change out here. Okay, well, thanks for coming along for the video, and I really appreciate it. And we'll see you guys on the next video.